My aunt, who had cancer when I was little, when I was 10, she passed away from generalized cancer. And after that person, it was my mom's turn. I must have been between 10 and 12 years old at most. Growing up, I wasn't fully aware of my surroundings. I knew that my mom had a health problem because she started to gain a lot of weight. She also began losing weight. And then for me, it was completely normal as soon as I finished school. My dad would pick me up from school and we would go to the hospital to see my mom. Our dad wanted us to be with our mom as much as possible, but he was scared for us realizing and seeing our mom in a very bad state. He didn't tell us word for word that she was dying. We realized it. My mom passed away on January 14th, 2004, so I will remember it forever. I have memory problems, but that unfortunately can't be erased. I made a lot of mistakes when my mom left. I was angry at life, and we had our cousin named Jonathan who had a tumor in his leg. At the age of, I think it was 22 years, between 20 and 23 years maximum. I don't really have a sense of time anymore. So my cousin, he lived with us from the death of his mom. He called my dad, Dad, so he was like his dad and he lived with us. Jonathan went very, very quickly, unfortunately, because he had, I will blame myself all my life, and I often blame myself because when we learned that he had a tumor in his leg, for me, it was nothing very serious. He seemed perfectly normal, but then started to limp. But he passed away unexpectedly 2 years later. When I lost my cousin, I was even more angry at life, and I was saying to myself, but it's not normal if it happens to us, but I was not at all asking myself questions, knowing if we have a syndrome, absolutely not. I said to myself, but damn, sorry for the words, but I was angry. I was saying to myself, but why again? At our place, I was saying to myself, in fact, it's really bad luck we have cancers that fall at our place, but I was not thinking more than that, so another one who leaves, so I was making mistakes over and over again. I stole a lot of things from stores, small robberies with hoods, whether it was from security guards to steal gas, to steal anything and everything. I was a little thief. I still managed to pass my first year exams, and I managed to get into a company. It calmed me down. I have my big mistakes, my little fights, I stopped all that. And so I worked for years in this company, and it was there that in 2012, I was on vacation in Thailand, and that's when they told me, listen, you have to come back. My brother, he had a seizure, he's in the hospital. I came home, and that's when they told me that my brother is going to have emergency surgery because he has a brain tumor. It shot me down because I lost my mom. I see that my brother is starting to have health problems, and I wasn't even realizing yet that it was just the beginning of the problems when I saw the operation, when I saw after the operation that he was lying in a hospital bed. He just gave me a thumbs up to tell me, it's okay, it went well. He had a big scar with a hole even on the head. I can show you a picture, but it shocked me. They did radiotherapy and chemotherapy for a while. They were doing MRIs, the tumors were stable. Apparently until 2016, where I had a seizure going to work, and that's when they rushed me to the hospital. And what's incredible is that even before doing an electroencephalogram, I told the doctors, I think I have a brain tumor. They told me, wait, what are you talking about? Well, it shocked them a little bit, so they did an electroencephalogram. They didn't see anything, so they told me we need to do a magnetic resonance imaging, and they did a magnetic resonance imaging, and indeed, they came to me after the magnetic resonance imaging. They told me, sit down, tell me clearly, I have a brain tumor, I'm not afraid. They told me, so yes, indeed, you have a large tumor in the brain too, so we need to operate on you. Although not as urgent as my brother's case, they told me I needed surgery within 2 weeks. It's funny because when my brother had his brain tumor, I was very scared. He wasn't scared at all. When I had my brain tumor, it worried my brother more than it worried me personally. What hurts in life is seeing loved ones suffer from illness. Our culture accepts and endures suffering. We want to take everything upon ourselves. I would rather take all the illness, put it on myself, see the people we love get sick, people we love leave. It's not right. I prefer to take everything for myself. But if I take everything for myself, they will look at me as sick. It will hurt them too. I accept my illness, but seeing my brother in such a state, my mom in such a state, my cousin in such a state, my aunt in such a state, it's hard. And it was at that moment, Dr. Daniel Roy, a neurologist who operates on the brain, he's the one who operated on my brother the first time and who was going to operate on me. And that's when there's definitely a link between you two. And that's when they did a genetic test and they saw that we're missing a gene, the TP53 gene. I didn't know what it was, but that's when they tell us, indeed, you have Li-Fraumeni Syndrome. Basically, you're missing a gene, and this gene fights against cancers. And that's why all the people in your family have developed tumors, breast cancers, a brain tumor for me and my brother, in the leg for my cousin. That's when they realized that we do have this syndrome. You should definitely not have radiotherapy and chemotherapy because your body can't handle it. And that's when they said they had to stop the radiotherapy and chemotherapy for my brother, because that, I don't know if it's the right word, it almost feeds the tumors. So you definitely should not do that. I have 3 tumors in my brain as I speak to you now. Learning that I have this syndrome, it didn't reassure me. That's not the right word, but it made me understand, let's say, why all this happened. It's not as if it's random and we get cancers just like that, no. There is an explanation behind it. Why is it like this for us? But it's so rare. 400 known families on Earth with this syndrome. There are surely more, I hope not, but there are surely more, but it's a very rare disease. That was in 2017. There weren't too many treatments offered for that, so they proposed to my brother to be a guinea pig, to give him different treatments, put these little round things that send electricity, electrodes. They didn't really know what this syndrome was, they didn't do much research. My brother, his mobility started to have glitches and speech. So he was already starting to limp. It's a small detail, but smile. He started to have the right side of his body that started not to move much. Until one day, what I'm going to say goes far. I've made mistakes in my life. Since 2016, I've been caught doing some big mistakes. I should have been in jail. They should have put me in jail for 2 years. Because of the herb trafficking, I was selling large quantities of herbs. And when I got caught, it was just before my first epileptic seizure. These foolish things, I got caught, they were supposed to put me in jail. They weren't supposed to jail me the day I was caught. I was supposed to be judged and imprisoned in 4 or 5 months. I had to show up on a certain day so they could put me in jail. In Switzerland, it works that way. Shortly after this judgment, I had an epileptic seizure. And that's when they saw that I had a brain tumor. I explained my story to the doctor. He said they would give me a medical certificate as it's impossible for them to put me in jail with my health problem. So every year, I provide a medical certificate explaining my illness, and they don't put me in jail. Until the day I was under guardianship, because from my first operation, I already had memory problems. So I could no longer take care of my mail. I kept forgetting the mail and other tasks. That lady, regrettably, had a health issue. She no longer took my mail. And my mail, it was sent back to the court. So basically, the court thought I was hiding somewhere. One day, I lost my wallet, stupidly, on the street. And the police call me and say, listen, we found your wallet, ID stuff. I said, yes, indeed, it's me. They told me to come and pick it up. I go to their place myself. They tell me, it's you, Mr. Bogdor. I say yes. I come to pick up my wallet with my ID. They tell me, okay, we're going to see if there's anything else for you in the back. I say, no, I just lost my wallet. They tell me, okay, we're just going to check. We'll be back in 30 seconds. They come back with 7, 8 policemen. They handcuff me. They tell me, you're here. We've been looking for you for 6 months. And they took me to jail, so I already had my first tumor. I had to take my anti-epileptic Keppras. I already needed to take medication. They informed me I'd be here for 2 years, having no information about me except that Mr. Dr. Moutinho should be imprisoned. They had no information about my health, absolutely nothing. Luckily, I didn't have an epileptic seizure. The police officers weren't making a strong effort to understand. And just before they put me in jail, my brother was already limping, but he was outside of the hospital. And when I went back to prison, it wasn't because of me, but he fell down the stairs, broke his ankle, and had to be hospitalized. And after that, it started to attack him quickly. He couldn't really talk anymore, actually. Unable to speak, he could only scream, incapable of saying, I broke my ankle. They didn't put him in a cast, they didn't put anything on him. The operation to repair the bones must be done within the next 2 days at the latest. Since he couldn't express himself, they failed. It put me in a very violent state because I needed to stay with my brother all the time already. Because I knew he was getting worse and worse, I was well aware of it. It shocked me. I was very unwell. And after 2 months, I would say 2 months, the police came to me and said, you can leave. Already at the base, before going to prison, every 3 months, I have to have brain magnetic resonance imaging because I had been operated on, there was a piece of the tumor left, and when I got out of prison, 2 months later, I have a magnetic resonance imaging, and they tell me you have a second tumor, we need to operate on you quickly because you have a large tumor that has grown on this side. And here's the scar that is there. They told me we need to operate on you right away. So they took me out of prison, my brother was in the hospital, I had to be reoperated. They showed me an apple, a banana, they asked me, what is this? And that's when I couldn't figure out what an apple, a banana, a color was. I visited my brother in the hospital. He could no longer speak and I couldn't understand his gestures. I could no longer comprehend what he was saying or asking me. I understood nothing anymore. Whereas before, I was the only one who understood him and knew what he needed to do. He realized that I was confused after my surgery and could no longer comprehend anything. And it also gave him a big moral slap, the fact of seeing that I had been affected in the brain. I wanted to stay with my brother because I always told myself that I would be able to treat him even though I couldn't do anything. I wanted to boost his morale, to be with him until the end. And then I thought there would be a miracle. I prayed before him daily. I assured my brother he would survive, that he would get out, that he was getting better and better while he was actually going downhill. I didn't want to accept that. He wanted to die elsewhere, so I took him to another location. He had to tell me he couldn't speak anymore. He slept so much I was helpless. He left on September 29th, 2020 in my hands, to me and my dad. But now he's resting as he couldn't take it any longer. He had made me understand. Now I've realized, after his death, my brain is waking up, but just after my operation, he tried to make me understand that he wanted to leave by taking a lot of medication in the mouth, but I knew he could no longer open it. The medication, so I thought he had to take a lot of medication while I was not at all aware that he no longer had any medication to take. I was completely lost and felt like I was on another planet. I don't accept his death, but that the pain is gone. I accept that he doesn't suffer anymore. I'm not selfish. I prefer that he leaves so as not to suffer as he suffers, but it makes me suffer a lot. It's unfortunate but true that we're always looking for someone to blame, telling ourselves what we should have done differently. We shouldn't make ourselves feel bad. It's true that morally, sometimes I don't feel good because I should have done certain things. I feel I did everything I could, but I miss him so much that I keep thinking I should have done more. It hurts deeply. He's gone now, but I miss him deeply. I want to go back in time, even if it wasn't necessarily very good, to touch him more, to be more by his side, or I don't know what. I've lost half of my heart. He took it from me. I give strength to people, but I have no strength left. I boost people's morale because people who complain about small things, when they face me, they actually say, he is tough. I boost their morale, I give them strength, but I have almost no strength left, and then I've already lost everything, actually. The fact that my brother received radiotherapy and chemotherapy, his body couldn't handle it. If they hadn't done radiotherapy and chemotherapy, they might still be alive today. It's certain that we can't be cured. The treatments can slow tumor growth, but unfortunately, these bad treatments accelerated them. They didn't give me radiotherapy or chemotherapy. That's why I'm still in great shape, so to speak. I am the last survivor. I say survivor because on my mom's side, I am the last living of all these people who had this disease. Li-Fraumeni Syndrome limits life expectancy to under 40 or 45 years, even less so with brain tumors. I'm receiving immunotherapy treatment. It's a treatment that's been around for maybe 2 years, they say. So when my brother received his first radiotherapy, chemotherapy in 2012, he didn't even know what immunotherapy was. It didn't exist. Immunotherapy is to boost immunity. It's for our body to fight against tumors. We are not sent products that attack tumors, if I understand correctly, but which make sure that our body is boosted. So the doctors, after the doctors, they make mistakes sometimes. I hope they also make mistakes. The doctors told me before giving me immunotherapy that if the treatment doesn't work, I have only 2 years left to live. So after the treatment, it made the tumors, they sleep. So they stopped growing. So I go out, no one knows when we are going to die. Doctors say the treatment is going well. I enjoy, my dream is to travel, of course, with my girlfriend, because she takes a lot of hits, sorry for the words, but she will suffer the day I'm going to leave. We will never forget the death of someone, but the love that was given to us, we can find it again. Thank God it exists, but we can't find the love that our brother or our parents give us. Fine, we can't find all that. If I make someone happy, it pleases me. It's sad to say, but my suffering, it hurts my girlfriend. My suffering, it hurts. It pains my loved ones to know I am gravely ill. So if I can give people happiness, I give them happiness. I show them that I am smiling, that I am enjoying life, that I am in a good mood, that I am happy. Even if I am unhappy, I'm sad. But I keep that to myself. I cry in my corner. I give love, but simultaneously cause pain. What really makes me feel good is being well surrounded, of course. What I want to do is simply to travel, breathe air elsewhere. If I could go around the world, or even just go in a camper van, take a trip on the sea, by boat, anything, travel, see new things every day. I want to tell my story because it's not selfish, but it makes me feel good to tell it. I don't hope that I hurt people who have this syndrome, which is even more complicated than me. But I wanted to tell it, to raise awareness for some people, even if we don't realize things until it happens to us. So that we realize that we only have one life and that anything can happen to anyone. It can happen very quickly. Enjoy life as we only live once. For those people who are listening to me who have this syndrome, I wish them nothing but happiness. Joy, health, we may not have it, but we must fully enjoy. Stay close to people who will leave one day or another. See only the positive things if we can, and that's it.